Hi butterflies, and welcome back to One Hook, Two Hands. This is Sarah, the creator behind One Hook, Two Hands, and today we are going to be making the wonderful magic ball that we use for the virus blanket pattern that that I keep teasing. And basically, you have to make the magic ball from all of your scrap yarn so that you can then crochet it into the virus blanket pattern. So this week we'll be doing how to make the magic ball, and then next week we'll be doing how to do the virus pattern. And what's great about the virus pattern is once you start it, it's just repetitive over and over and over, and make it as big as you want. And that's kind of what I'm planning on doing, is with as many scraps as I can. I will say this: cotton scraps, with what we're doing today in making the magic ball, you need to understand you've got to keep your weights together, your styles of yarn together, that kind of thing. So, like for example, you need to separate your yarns out in sixes, seven sixes, fives, fours, threes, twos, ones, right? And separate those out because you need the weight classes to go together. And I really wouldn't try this in lace style. Maybe a fingering weight is like the best place to start size, but that would be like the low end. Um, then you'll need to separate all of those out. Then I like to kind of color block it. And I will show you how I color block here in just a little bit and talk you through kind of like how I separate it out. We'll actually be doing the cotton version on this for me today because I don't quite have enough scraps right now, because I've made them all up into my magic ball to have an actual magic ball ready to go. So I will show you that. But again, this is a great way to use up your scraps. It's a great way to block out what you want to do, and to have a unique blanket that kind of reminds you of just everything you've done and accomplished. And so I highly recommend it because it's a great way also to just regenerate and like not be wasteful of your scraps. Um, and so I'm excited to get started with you with the Magic 8 Ball Russian Join um, blanket. Yeah, virus blanket. So, or whatever we're calling it today. But it's going to be a lot of fun. I I didn't realize how satisfying even making the ball was at first. It's so much fun and a great project to do if you've got a long car ride, something like that. But it's great to make it and at the end of it feel like, oh wow, I've got something totally different and unique and based on everything I've done. And so it's a great way to use up your yarn. Just like my oldest work in progress over here, that is the scrap blanket. This is just another great way to use up your yarn, to have something unique and have it be very different colored. And like I said, you know, my current one that I'm working on is turning out so cool. This is why I do it, because this is the virus blanket and the virus blanket pattern. But the yarn that I'm using is just all the scraps of different projects, and also scraps of projects that kind of came to me from as I inherited yarn over the years. And so it's just a fun project, and I'm excited to share this with you. So let's go. All right, guys. So here we are ready to do our Magic 8 Ball. And to do this, I just want to first give a shout out to Elise Rose Crochet, who introduced me to this in her scrap things to do with your scraps video, and I've got that video linked down below, as well as her channel. But I just love this particular one. This is like one of the first things on her list, and like I said, I love it because I always knew I want to do something more with my scraps. Now, one of the big things when you are making your Magic 8 Ball, you need to make sure your yarns match. So, for example, your worsted weights need to go together. Your chunky yarns need to go together. Your cotton needs to go together. Like cotton and acrylic don't really mix for this project. You need to make sure that what you're doing, you have kind of separated out. So I have started getting these amazing jars at, excuse me, I cannot stop. I have gotten these amazing jars at my local Dollar Tree. I highly recommend Dollar Tree, and I can't wait to take y'all on a trip to Dollar Tree with me at some point. But I like getting these glass jars because they're great. The lid screw on. You can stuff a lot more in here than what it looks like, and it's a great container, and you absolutely know exactly what's in there. You know you're collecting, and you know when it's time to start doing your next round of your ball. And so the thing that I love about this the most is that um, it allows you, when you have like enough yarn that you don't want to throw it away, but not enough to really do anything with, it gives you something to do with it and allows you to then have a magnificent project potentially at the end. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these cotton scraps and these. Oh, I actually have a few more. I'm going to go grab those real quick. You'll hold on for me as I go do that. I just saw these over here a moment ago, which is going back to my other place where I get my different scraps. So that we can add these to the mix. Let me just double check these real quick because I'm pretty sure this one, and that one. So these are all also, again, I'm still kind of going through some of my yarns, and I'm finding older cotton yarns that family members have had that I now have somehow inherited. That one's not going to do. So I end up having a lot more, and I absolutely love it. So I've got a few more here, but I wanted to sometimes I kind of include a little bit more than I normally would. So that's why you see a few bit of a bigger little balls in here, and like this one over here. But what we're going to do is, like I said, for me, I'm doing my cotton yarns. You could be doing acrylic. You could be doing Chanel. You could be using whatever. But the important piece is making sure you have the right tapestry needle, which that's your other big thing you need for this. You do need a tapestry needle, not a darning needle. You need something with a point. And for cotton, I like the sharper the points, which is why I'm going to be using this one. It has a little bit of a bigger head, obviously, but it also has a much sharper point on it. So I'm going to be using this particular one for this project. I'm going to put my other two back over here so I don't lose them. But you need your good tapestry needle. You need a pair of scissors. And then I personally have started using a crochet hook. It doesn't matter what size. And you'll see why in a minute. But you just need a crochet hook to help you. It makes the Russian join a lot easier. Now, the first thing we're going to do, and I am going to be very careful because this needle is real easy to lose. So I'm kind of putting it boxed in over here where my, next to here. So I'll kind of put it here so it's very easy to find. And then we're going to do a little bit of color figuring out, because one of the things that I have learned, you know what? Actually, I kind of need that for something. But you can have as small as like this. You at least want to have 2 inches of yarn. For this project, I would really say you probably want 3 or 4 inches minimum for making what we're going to be doing with the magic ball. But in case, and see, these are very similar. So you kind of want to have some very similar next to each other. And like I said, the long pieces, you're going to kind of sort them out. So these are all browns. This is kind of orange. Put that over here with this orange. And you're going to kind of try to sort the colors out. And I know it's kind of a little hard to see on the thing that I've got. So I'm going to actually raise this up a little bit. And hope my stand behaves. And I'm going to check that to see how we're doing down here. It's a little bit better. Now, you can kind of tell, I was going to try to do it with the blanket down beneath it, but I think I'm going to pause real quick, move the blanket, and we'll start from there. Hold on, guys. Yeah, that's much better. You can see our colors so much better. All right. So the goal is to group our colors and our similar colors together. So, and you'll end up looking for natural transition colors as well as we go. So like I said, these two kind of go together. These are kind of in the orangey family. So we're going to keep those together. Those, our pinks are over here. We got green. We've got kind of a blue-white one. This is one of my brown creams with like green and brown in it. So maybe literally right there. Yellow. So this one has a lot of colors in it, and I'm going to wait on this one of deciding because I'm going to know I'm going to want something. Definitely, I kind of have to look at the colors and figure out what that will transition to. So we got our pinks over here. I'm going to put my reds right here. Just as kind of a start way. And I'm going to move that over a little bit. All right. So I have this like brownish kind of, but it's more of like an orange cream thing. So I'm going to put it over here because I feel like it'd be a great transition piece. And then we have our darker green and kind of our lighter green. We got some purple. And since this has got purple and blue in it, I think I want to put this kind of over here somewhere. Because I honestly think we're going to go pink into blue maybe. We'll see. And then maybe blue into that. Again, this is what I mean by color work, is we're kind of looking at seeing what goes. See, this piece is too small. Don't know how this got in here, but this piece is too small. So because it's too small, I'm going to set it aside. There is a bucket that I use for these kinds to help use for my stuffing, which is right over here. And I'm going to put it in that bucket. And I just found this long piece of cotton that was in there, and this is kind of a blue-green transition, so I kind of like that going in between those two, actually. And then that could go into the browns, and then this could go into the brown, into the orange. I like that. Another yellow. Got some more like brighter, vibrant oranges. Again, this is how you kind of play with it. You kind of look at the colors and kind of transition them. And like I said, we're going to do purples into blues, so I might do something like that as the transition piece there. And like I said, blues into the greens, and like even this one, transition, do the blue, that. Because like sometimes you need to have a little bit of a more transition, for lack of a better term. And so you like playing with it, and I just totally knotted this one up in a way around the screen that needs to come off. So I'll put the green over here. Here's a pink. Here's a cream. And see, I like the idea of playing with the creams and the browns together. So we're going to put that there. Orange, purple. Ooh, this is perfect transition for that. So like, definitely see that kind of transitioning. And I can even see this transitioning into, that's too small. More bright orange. Okay, so one of the things is I love this piece, and because I don't really know how to transition this into something else, I really like the idea of that going at the end of my orange. We've got this here. We got that one may fit, that may be too short. And this is perfect because you can kind of see a little bit of pink and white, pink and that white and red. It'll go perfect with that transition. Purple, green. That's a little too small. See, this one's 2 inches, but it's kind of right at the edge, and it's almost, you'll see when we get into the Russian join, but like this is almost too small for that. So I'm going to declare that as a no-go. Now we've got a nice little maroon color here, which I kind of like putting in between these two somehow. And I think this one's long enough. We'll put this over here with the blue, kind of the blue area. We kind of got more of these like transition-y colors. I like maybe that there. That one's just long enough. That one's not. That one's not. We got more vibrant pink and white. So if you've got something like this and then you've got a vibrant, I like to put the vibrant in between the two, or like we've got the red, but then transition into the pink and white. So it kind of like makes a smoother transition. And again, you'll kind of see what I'm talking about the more we do it. Like when we actually start putting these things together, and you'll see how we're doing it. So I like the yellow there. I like this maroon up here. Like this here. There's more of this pink, so I may even use that as a transition from there to there. We got some more maroons. And I will probably end up, and we'll see as I go, but usually if I have a lot of like small pieces like this, what I end up doing is I transition them between these bigger pieces. Oh, that's perfect. See, here's got some green and white, so this will go like right into that, then into that cream, and we'll play around with that. Now this is a lot of these purples and greens or blues, so I really like that. So I think that would be a great like next piece there, or like do a purple, do that. Here's another red here. We got some more bright pink, and these are kind of right on the edge, but I think they're big enough, so we're going to keep those there. That's too small. That's too small. And I usually use black and cream or white in their own, but where we've got these mixed greens or creams, I'm using that. So this is a dark green over here, more yellow. This is again kind of just that perfect transition right here, and this one is just long enough, and honestly it is the perfect transition for this. And I may even do the transition into the pink, do it like reverse these, but we'll see. That is too short. That, yeah, both too short. This is kind of right on the edge. I might try that one. And I got one more piece, which is dark green. We're going to put that there. Now then. See, this is my too small, but this will go into my stuffing bag and like mix it in with my stuffing kind of thing. I think you'll find that enjoyable. So now I've kind of got my colorway. And I'm just going to take you guys off for just a second off the thing to kind of show you. So now we kind of got my transitions of colors, right? And like I said, I think what I'm going to do is so that we transition from like the purples and blues into the pink. I'm kind of looking at this actually, and I think we'll start over here somewhere. And we'll start with this as kind of like the center. And actually I like transitioning into the dark. So we are going to transition this way. So it'll be the reds and the maroons, and like we're going to kind of piecemeal those in between each other. But then their big transition color is going to be this one. And then I like the idea of having this bigger one of these bigger pieces of that into like the cream, the variegated, into like that one, into this, and then into that like solid pink, into this, and we'll do those into the purples, or we may even do like a purple in between. Do that, do purple, do a little sprig of the solid purple down into this variegated, into this one. We will transition into like, let's see here what we got going. Yeah, we'll do the variegated one, the slight one. We'll do we'll do the deep blue into this one, into the greens, kind of more these sagey greens mixed in with the, like I may do like a dark green here, this, because that always looks really cool when you actually crochet it out, and you'll see what I mean by that later. But when you crochet it out, these kind of always look really good in your transitions. And then like into this cream, and because there's a lot of these, I may do like the brown in the middle kind of thing, but eventually we're gonna get again, I'm trying to hold you as I talk, and that's always not a good thing. I'm actually going to bring you guys down a little bit from the high heights, put you back up here as I do this part, because I kind of need both hands at the moment. So we're over here, and I want to have these over here, but I'm going to do like, since I have two strands, I'm going to gently kind of transition them, right? So where you kind of do it like this, just like we'll do maybe two of these, the brown, do kind of two or three of those, and then we move into the yellows. Now I like this transition way as I've got it. I am going to put that right there. Actually, no, we're going to put this here because we're going to use this to kind of blend between these two. We're going to do the bright oranges, and this is going to be what's left at the top, and you'll see what I mean as we go. But so now I kind of have my color transition ways. So what we're going to do, and this is where it gets fun. So I'm going to grab my initial start group, and very quickly we're going to ball it up properly, right? Now hear me, I'm doing an old school ball for this. It's not a center pull. I could do a center pull one, but just right now, I have found for the transitions for this, it's a lot more important doing it this way. And that's part of the reason why I chose something big like this at the center. It definitely helps. I like to do over 3 fingers when I'm dealing with cotton when I do this. So deal with 3, or this kind of thing because of what we're doing, or 2, because you need to not have to make it such a big ball. You need to be able to have where you can roll it up and it be what you need at the right amount, but also still be able to have your end loose as you start working the join. And if you've never done a Russian join, it's really simple, really easy. But as you start doing it, you'll understand why I say it's just so much fun, and it works so well. And it gives us this great transition of colors. And so I enjoy it immensely. Now remember, this is going to actually be the outer part of what we have right now. But it's great for kind of that solid base. So now that I've got it balled up a little bit better, I'm going to unwind it a good few, maybe foot or two, because you're going to need room to play with it, especially for this starting piece, which is why I started with one of the bigger balls in the center of color, because you are going to be working with that transition and you need to have better ones. And so we're working with the maroons, even though, like, I know I've got my yellows and stuff. In fact, I'm actually going to move my oranges over just a little bit, and my yellows this way, so you can actually see what I'm doing when it comes to my maroons and my reds. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab those. And So to do the initial transition, I'm going to use this piece because I'm still not too sure about this piece. It may be too small, but we'll see. Excuse me. As she lays them right next to each other and they're almost the same size. But then I'm going to go back over here. I ended up, when I moved stuff, putting my tools in this little container because I wanted to be able to find them, specifically the one tapestry needle I wanted to use. Now, this is what they call what we're about to do is what they actually call the Russian join. And this is, like I said, I just have so much fun doing these. Some of my initial ball videos were that, but you're going to thread your starter into the needle. You're going to, but give yourself enough of a piece. I would probably leave it an inch, 2 inches through. It just kind of depends on how you feel. Now, here's the fun part. You're going to come here, you're going to untwist your yarn to kind of get it to where it loosens it up, right? Can you see that? Where you've got kind of that loose yarn. Then you're going to come back and put your needle through that loose yarn and into the center. And if you can, you're trying to get it to like loop through. So you can kind of look at all sides here, right? Where, see, this is where it's important to look at all sides because you need to make sure that you are going through as much of it as possible. And there we go. Now, this is a trick that I learned along the way of doing this, or I started doing because it makes it so much smoother. So you've got that, you've not pulled all the way through yet on your needle, right? You're wanting to get your crochet hook into this loop that you're creating, right? And then you're going to hold your crochet hook in one hand, and then you're going to pull on the needle with the other and try to pull it through, and it will get caught sometimes and it'll be pull a little hard. You'll think, I'm ruining my yarn. You're not. Just hold tight. So you've got that where it kind of goes through itself. You're going to pull it tight on this side, but then pull on this side because it should kind of catch. I may not have gotten enough of it in. Hold please. I don't think I got enough in. And this is where cotton yarn's a little trickier than, say, your worsted weighted yarn. And I would teach you on worsted weighted yarn. However, I don't have enough. I may show you one piece of that in a minute, but I don't really have enough right now to constitute doing any kind of magic ball with my worsted weighted yarn. Let me do that again. So again, we're going to twist. And again, it's important to have enough of go in long and far enough, which is why you need a good stretch of your yarn. And with cotton, it is a little trickier, but you need to make sure that you pull it through. That's why you also have to look at it because you don't want to miss enough of it that it causes you problems later, like what just happened to me. And I think that should be enough. So now I've got my bunched up part on here. Now I've got that little loop, right? I'm going to put my hook through my loop. I'm going to slide as much as I can down onto the end of my needle, and I'm going to pull through. And like I said, cotton's a little harder than like some of the other yarns, but you're going to pull that tight as it'll let you. And then you're going to pull this way. And then now you've got your one loop, your first starter loop on your hook. Now you're going to take your second piece and you're going to thread it through. And this is where I have a feeling this particular cotton, which is a much better quality than the other cotton, is going to be a little bit easier. Then I'm going to come over here. And part of the reason you have the crochet hook, by the way, is because this loop will close up on you all the time if you're not careful. So by using the crochet hook, you end up holding that loop until you're ready to put your needle through. So then you once you got this ready threaded with your second piece, you come up through the loop, kind of pull that over a little bit, push that down as close to the needle as you can. Then you're going to untwist your yarn. And this is, like I said, kind of gets tricky and you kind of have to get in a rhythm with it. But then you go back the needle back into this side of the yarn. And again, this one's a little trickier because it is a higher quality, so it's a lot softer. And you're just kind of threading yourself through the yarn, right? And then you pull it over. See, like I said, that one was so much better quality. And I could, gosh, that was smooth. So then you pull that tight, and you come down and pull this tight, and you pull them as tight as you can. And now you've got your join. Now I like to do 2 or 3 pieces before I start cutting because I want to make sure it holds up, because you don't want your piece to fall apart that you're going to make with your joint yarn. So then I come over here, I enter and thread my needle. And this is why you need to have a fairly decent amount of yarn, because like we're going like here. So you see how like little space that is? That's like 1 or 2 inches. And so without it, you know what, guys? I don't think I brought my light over here. No wonder you're going to have a hard time seeing this. Give me 1 second. Let me go grab my additional light. If you'll hold on. Or let me try this. I just want to provide some extra light for y'all. Didn't even think about not having my stage light over there. But I do think that adds what I need to this. Oh yeah, much better. I am sorry for keeping you guys in the dark earlier. So again, we've threaded our needle with our starting piece, because now we're at the other end of the one that we just threaded through. And we're going to come over here and we're going to untwist our yarn. We're going to put our lovely little needle right through all the layers of this yarn. And then we're going to pull just a little bit. You can see where we got the loop, right? I'm actually going to do it this way because I'm trying to show you this, but it's, again, a much better yarn. So we're going to put our crochet hook through that loop. Then we're going to push this yarn all the way down the end. We're open over, and see, it's much smoother if you have a better quality cotton. But then you pull, and if you need to, the thing about if you can get it up over this part, the eye of the needle, is you can come and figure out which one is your pull through, and you can pull it all the way through that way. Because again, it's going to pull through the other way easy. So then you pull through and tighten it here, and now we've got it back on our hook. And now I'm going to like put these 2 pieces in between each other and kind of create this, like, again, kind of a variegated look without having variegated. So I'm going to unknot this. Now, this particular cotton is your peaches and cream cotton, you know, our standard. Oh, there's more than one piece. So, but I'm actually going to do these 2 pieces together. One of the other things I found with this that I really love, okay, first off, because this is a long piece and you can kind of see these ends are frayed, that's when you can come in and do that. And that can go in your stuffing bag of small pieces of yarn. And then I come in and I thread it through my needle, right? But this is, like I said, the cool thing is if you want to have a more seamless join of like, oh, I ended up getting to the end of a skein of my yarn and but I don't want it to have a big messy look to my blanket or whatever. This is really great for transitioning your, like, going from one skein of the same colorway into another. So then we take our loop off the hook, we insert our needle in through the loop, pull it through, come down, push it down, de-thread, and again, your standard, more good for, your washcloths and maybe a couple placemats or towels, but not much else. Yeah, that kind of cotton, well, that's when you do this. And then you try to push that, but that one doesn't like to go over the edge of the hook or the needle so much, so you kind of have to coerce it sometimes you hold this one to get it through, and sometimes that happens. So when that happens, you can kind of come back up here, cut this. I like to put it back on the hook. So I've still got it. Figure out where, because again, this is kind of a more messed up, not as a nice of cotton. Sometimes that happens. When it does, you just cut it out. Either cut that piece out entirely, or you go back to threading it, go back to the beginning, go through. And there is a written tutorial by someone else, and I don't know what the name of that blog is, but I will definitely put that link in there in the description box. I should know these names before I get on here, y'all. I am so sorry. I am having a brain fog day. I will come on at the end and give you all the names of people proper, because I don't like not giving people credit. But you just kind of wiggle it through. Kind of keep it as unwound as you can if you've got that. And then I kind of pull through, try to pull over as much as I can. Ah, there we go. Finally. So now that I've gotten it over, I can kind of do this. I can kind of find the end and pull it through. And then you see I pull it tight and pull it this way. Now sometimes it'll be a little rough until you like work it, but it'll get there. Now, I've gotten enough together that I am going to, let's see, actually I'm going to do this one more piece and attach these two. And this is a great way to show you what I mean when I say if you have two skeins of the same color, you can just add that in, and it ends up creating a really good smooth transition so you don't look like you've, and honestly, if I come across a factory knot, sorry, I know I kind of just transitioned fast there, but if I come across a factory knot, I'll undo it and do this now and make such a smoother join, and it does hold up. And if you feel really like, oh, I don't know if it's going to hold, you can knot it at the bottom of these, just to secure it. I don't. Like I said, you can kind of see the blanket I've worked on. It doesn't really need it, but you're going to just make sure you get enough of it through this yarn. So we're going to come over here, put it on the hook, because the hook allows you to, on ones like this where it may be a little harder to get it through, allows you a more stable base to pull on, right? And get that through. Yank. Yay. Then we come over here. This end is good, so I'm just going to thread it through. Thread it through my tapestry needle. And again, a good tapestry needle is a good thing to have. I have a pack of like 100 or 50 different needles that I think I got for like $4 or $5, of the different types of needles or whatever. So at a sewing store, worth it. Worth it. I do a lot of hand sewing, so that thing has been my saving grace, because I never thought I'd use it on leather. I never thought I'd do some other things. But then you find yourself trying to do something and you're like, I need XY needle. That's where all three of these tapestry needles came from, y'all. So I'm going to grab this and pull it tight, because that's going to make it a little easier to get my join through. And do not ask me what this is called, the Russian join. I do not know. But what I do know is it's pretty and it works. Most of the time, when it's not being inky like it is right now. Okay, let's see. There's that. So it can kind of help you figure out how to get it all the way over, or enough over so you can pull that through. Oh, I see what happened. There's a little piece. It's kind of catching. There. Now, like I said, it'll look a little rough to you. Kind of pull it, smooth it out. You pull the two ends really tight. Then you pull these because that's going to create this smoother part of the join. Now, we're going to go back to where we started. See these little pieces? It's time to trim. So you come in, trim right here, trim right here. Now it's smooth. And like I said, these little pieces get to go in your stuffing jar. Like this one is mine. I usually just keep it down there. Then I come up to this one. And again, you got to be careful to make sure you're not grabbing your actual or cutting your actual yarn. But come in, cut kind of close. Create the smooth. Come over here. Hold that. Do that. 1. And 2. Again, I like to just do that final little pull and smooth. And now we've got kind of enough yarn that we need to go ahead and roll up some more. And we're to, again, we've got our about a foot right here. We'll see how this works. It may be a little too fuzzed. It may not to go through the eye. Nope, it seems to want to behave. So we're going to pull through. Then we're going to come down here. We're going to twist. Kind of looking all around just to make sure it's going through correctly. See, we got, this is one has been a lot nicer for me. A nice smooth one. I go through, pull. Pull it up over the loop of the, go through, pull, pull. And I got my thread. We thread it, and you just keep doing that all the way through your transitions. And so I'm just gonna pitch. Oh, this sometimes happens. Sometimes your needle will come off. Just try to keep the thread in the loop if you can. Go back through. This one is actually smaller. Actually, I was going to say I was going to let you guys watch me do it for a hot minute as I work my way through my pieces. But because this is a shorter one, I kind of want to show you the finicky pieces. Like I said, now I do like this one better because it is a smoother yarn. But you're going to pull and try to get as much of it as far as you can because you see how big your needle is, and you're going to have to go into the other side as well and try to make sure you get enough of it. Now this one's a very smooth pull because like I said, this yarn is such a better quality. Pull down, pull down, and pull tight, and there you go. And so you do that, and hear me, the other end is a little, I don't want to make this too much shorter, but I do need to like transition it a little bit to make it a smoother, to pull it through the eye. And you see you don't have a whole lot to work with here, right? So you got to be really careful, kind of try to anchor that as best you can. Get it through as much as you can. Like, this is really pushing it. I probably wouldn't do something this short on any other piece. If I think it's too short, I just be very careful, because you can see there's really only going to be this much of the yarn that's transitioned, so that may be one double crochet or maybe one single crochet depending on if I'm lucky. But it's just, be aware it's going to be a short piece. And then you go into your next one, and hear me, I'm going to use these two, and then I'm going to do those and then that, and then when we get to the end of those, we will add our lovely red and white. Okay, so I'm just going to follow the magic carpet all the way around of my different colors, all the way around to that piece, and I will let you guys watch on really fast play. See you in a bit. Hey guys, so just wanted to do a brief clip. Some of these yarns were a lot older, and so they were a lot more difficult, and I ended up having to cut quite a bit out because I had some bad spots as I started working and pulling, as you'll see in this first video. But that's part of it, is if you find a bad spot, you kind of cut it out and you start over. And that's the thing with this, is you just keep going and going until you create your ball. So I'm about a fist size now, and I've got more colors to go. I'm going to kind of do a time lapse that has a because of how it's working up, I'm going to kind of have several time lapses, but I may only include this one in this longer how-to video, and I will show you where we're at when we get back to the end. Thank you. Bye. Hi guys, so we're back towards the end. I've got almost the entire thing done. I'm down to the last little bit. I just attached the last strand of the orange to my ball, and now I'm getting ready to do the last one little bit of yarn into this. So just as kind of following up, even though you've seen this hundreds of times now, you put your yarn through, you kind of unwind your yarn, you put your needle through it to create your join here. And I'm going to kind of get up close so you can kind of see, hopefully. I'm moving a lot, but you can kind of see where the needle shows through. You want to have a little bit of it shining through, but not a lot. You'll push that down. You're gonna get your crochet hook, put it in the loop, pull over. And like I said, the cotton yarn is a little bit harder than your worsted weighted yarn. Your worsted weighted is really easy, but in teaching you, I wanted to do one I could do repetitively and you could see me do several times, which I hope the video turned out well. I was trying a couple different angles on it so that you could see the different ones. And I did it in color because I could have done the acrylic or worsted weighted yarns in black and white. Don't quite recommend that because I'm doing all black and all white together instead of like mixing it up like I originally thought I was going to. And so don't recommend doing that if you're not for a video, because it's really hard to tell and differentiate. Yarn through, pull off my hook, go through the loop. Oh, wait. Okay, we're gonna back up just a second. We're gonna end with that one because this one has an orange piece and it will look a little bit more natural. So if you do have the variegated yarns and there's a color in it towards one of the ends that is more natural to what your previous end is, like this one, like these two, I recommend doing that because it just kind of helps your color transitions when you get to the actual blanket. And I'll show you that blanket again that I'm already working on from my acrylic yarn. So then you kind of spin, do this, push down, and pull through as it allows. And you pull, putting through. Sometimes if I don't feel like there's enough in terms of the length of this part, like from here to here is not enough, I will go in and add a little bit more down the links, which is how I feel about this, because you can see this is really small. And so what I'm going to do is I start with my needle so I can get closer. I go right in to it and I kind of get into the yarn. As best as I can. Then I thread it through the eye. And then I kind of wiggle it through, pull through. And again, like last time, kind of pull it just to make sure it's secure. Cut off our lovely little ends. You can't see, but most of them I've just been cutting directly into here. And again, that'll be a mixed kind of bag for my stuffing to help with my toys that I make. But there we go. And as you can see, that particular Russian join looks real smooth because it looks like it's just immediately a part of it, right? And that's the goal. So then you just roll it up. And now your cotton ball is ready to start whatever project you're going to work on. And I'm kind of figuring that out with the cotton because I don't know necessarily what will be the best for the cotton, but I'm thinking it through, and I will get back to you in a week about what we're going to do with this cotton as well. All of the links will be below, as well as all the names. Because as you know, I struggle with names, and I will see you soon. Bye.